The name's Anonymous, Fanboys Anonymous. Welcome everybody to the premiere episode of the Fanboys Anonymous Roundtable discussion show. We encourage you to stand up and share and talk about all the different kind of topics that we'll end up throwing out there whenever. I don't know. We don't really have a set schedule for this. It's not like the show that I do, Smack Talk, where it's every week. We're kind of trying to throw this out there whenever we can. That's either going to be once a month, once a week, once every other week, once every day if we have no lives, but we do, thankfully, so that's not the case. So let's go to the introductions. Hi, my name is Tony Mango, and I'm a fanboy.
I'm Nick Abrams, and I am a fanboy.
Hi,
I'm
I'm
Degge
Sean
Thomas,
Mitchell,
and I'm a fanboy,
and I'm
and I'm
talking over
Sean
Degge
Mitchell.
Thomas.
So for those that didn't hear that, Degge Thomas and Sean Mitchell are the two others
There's
that
no
are
need
joining
to
us.
clarify that. That was perfect.
I'm really excited to talk about this, especially as the first post, because uh, what we are going to talk about today is the new James Bond film, Skyfall. And if you had to narrow down the top 10 or so things that I'm like mostly a fanboy of, there's The Simpsons, there's Star Wars, a bunch of different stuff like that. But James Bond is definitely on that list. I've been a fan of Bond since I think sixth grade. When little insider information here, Nick and I, along with some other friends of ours, we decided to give ourselves double O numbers and call ourselves the British Secret Service in the middle of a class. And yours truly was 006. Nick was 004. Worst number in the world was our friend with 003, but we're not going to get into that.
The loneliest number. Most think it's one, but
Right, no, it used to be 003. um, so we're going to talk mostly about Skyfall. We're probably going to, branch off into some other topics and talk about other Bond films in the process and everything like that. But main target of Skyfall. For those who don't know about the movie itself, it's directed by Sam Mendes, who, out of all the films that you would probably say he's most well known for, he's most well known for American Beauty, which I actually consider a fantastic movie. Has anybody else seen that?
Nope.
Yes, a long time ago.
Big enough a fan of it as I am, or disagree?
It's been so long that I can't quite recall the finer details, but yeah, I did love it. Of course, how could you not?
Yeah. So if anybody is interested in seeing something else that he's done, go check out American Beauty. I didn't really like Revolutionary Road a whole lot, so I can't really recommend that. But some basic plot points. If you obviously have not seen this movie, then don't listen to this until after you've seen the movie, because we are going to spoil it, because we are going to talk about the different stuff that we liked and disliked about the movie. So main characters, Bond, of course. If it wasn't, then that'd be a little fucked up. Main character in this is, I don't know, fucking Yoda.
Thought it was M for a little while.
Yeah,
yeah,
It really was.
yeah.
it really is. The secondary character of this film is M, and there's parts where M has more focal point to her than Daniel Craig himself. But the main villain, Silva, they actually gave him a different name in the film too, and I don't remember. It was like Guillermo Rodriguez or something.
I forget, but
Random gay guy.
Yeah, random.
Random guy. They didn't actually say whether or not he was gay, but
He was.
They didn't have to
He
say
was
it.
pretty out there. He was really out there.
but there was Severine.
Yeah, yeah.
Severine,
Oh.
one of the Bond women in this movie, played by Berenice Marlowe. The other one was Eve, played by Naomi Harris, who, if everybody has seen the Pirates of the Caribbean series, she was the crazy witch doctor chick that turned into like an octopus or some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that, but then again, that third film was terrible. And Ray Fiennes is Gareth Malloy. We'll get into his kind of story a little bit later, but those were the main characters out of the whole film. There's a special couple of scenes with Q, now played by Ben Whishaw from the Perfume film, is the only thing I am aware of him doing out of popular things.
He's awesome, by the way.
He was,
I wish we got more of him.
yeah, he Well, what do you guys want to target first out of all this stuff? Do you want to talk about characters, story?
Uh,
Anybody got some grievances they want to knock out, and then we
The whole movie?
the whole movie. All right, pick one of them, and we'll spin off of that.
Q.
You didn't like
Really?
Q.
You know,
What?
the only reason he's saying that is because I liked Q.
I didn't even know you liked them, but yeah, it's true. It's because you like them.
That's always the best attitude to take.
Yeah, anti-Nick Abrams. So what was your dislike of Q?
Everything about him was just wrong. He was trying to be some super geek, and he was just coming off not at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm just bitter because I love Desmond Llewellyn so much, but I like for the most part his dialogue was all right. It didn't sound like he knew anything. He was just sitting there being some little geeky guy.
So you thought he was kind of more like I guess kind of like a tech squad member as opposed to like the main guy quartermaster of the Q branch.
Exactly. Yeah, he
I'm-
wasn't the
I'm
quartermaster.
worried
He
about
was the computer tech.
And that's why I wish we could have gotten more of him. Maybe they could have done more with him and not like left him so stale. I don't know. I liked him. Like I liked the idea that he's some young kid instead of an old man. Because I mean, let's be real. No old man is going to be like the tech branch of like the
I got this brand new gadget for you, Bond. It's called a pager.
yeah yeah. I mean, I understand.
Yeah.
They're trying to take it like yeah. They're trying to take it like give it more realistic feel and not have all the stupid little gadgets. Like oh, not stupid. They were fucking sweet, but like exploding pens, for instance. They gave a little nudge at that. The GoldenEye reference. But
When they did that, I nudged my girlfriend to the side and I'm like, "Golden
Eh?
eye." She said,
Eh?
"I know. You fucking keep talking about this pen. I know about it by now." Like, that was a Boris pen. We used
Talk
to
about
trade
the
them in
pen
high
after
school.
sex, she gets real mad.
Yeah, they mentioned in the movie, Q says that, you were expecting an exploding pen or something like that. He gives him basically just a homing beacon, little GPS tracker kind of sort of thing, and which really is a kind of a callback to Goldfinger. And he gives him a gun, a handgun, where if it's somebody other than Bond's palm prints on it, it won't fire. Now, that was also in another movie before. It was in License to
Judge
Kill.
Dredd.
So the only two quote unquote gadgets of the film are two that they already used. But and that reference is something that I'll touch upon in a little bit. The whole referencing other films. Um, the line that he has about you're expecting something different and all that kind of stuff really was a nod to the fact that they're trying to scale things down, which I kind of like and I kind of don't in these new films. There's a lot of things that I don't like that they've been doing when it comes to making it grittier and all that kind of stuff. But in some ways, I do like it because my personal viewpoint when it comes to the Bond films is that they should go for the level that GoldenEye is. Now, GoldenEye is my favorite. It's the one that I kind of started watching originally out of all of them, so I got a little bit of a bias with that. But I don't know, the balance in GoldenEye is always something that I'm a fan of. The characters aren't crazy. There's no like in Die Another Day, the fucking main villain gets plastic surgery, and the other one's got diamonds embedded in his face, and
right.
they could have made that movie so much better because that plot of having the hovercrafts over the minefield, that would have been perfect on its own. You needed to create another diamond satellite that blows up stuff from the sky, and a guy's wearing an Iron Man suit. I don't like when they go that crazy route, but if you don't go the invisible car route, it doesn't mean you have to go to nothing. I like when what's so wrong about Bond having something in its watch, or even the exploding pen. The exploding pen is perfectly reasonable. I mean, they have like legitimate CIA tools that are like that. So, uh, I personally don't like when they do that a little bit, but I can understand why. As far as the Desmond Llewellyn thing, nobody's going to beat Desmond Llewellyn. I mean, he was awesome. He was Q. But
Yeah.
but I think
He was a
that
great old
Wishaw's
guy.
got a chance at putting at least a better spin on the role than John Cleese did.
Oh.
What do you think? John Cleese better than Ben Whishaw?
Um. uh, I can't fault him. It's, John Cleese is too awesome for me to look at him negatively, no matter what he's done. So I'm not necessarily saying he was great, but that's John Cleese, man.
What do you think, Degge?
I'd have fully supported John Cleese if they kept his character R and just kept having him in the movies.
Hmm.
It could have worked, yeah. Well, I think that they had to switch him to Q.
Hmm.
Because what is he gonna be, Watermaster?
I don't know. Give him a new name or something, but he could have been in the movies. I'd have liked to seen him instead of Ben Whishaw, but
Well, that's something that's very confusing about these new films is they kind of keep acting like there's continuity between the other ones and that there isn't. Like,
yeah.
spoiler alert, the last half of the movie is very much a callback to a lot of other films and not so much repetitive or anything like that, but uh, they reference a lot of things. There's Bond has to drive away, so what does he get? He gets his car from Goldfinger, the Aston Martin DB5, if I remember correctly. Uh, but he gets that, and there's a reference to the ejector seat. Uh, they throw some stuff out there like that, and if you're gonna have that, and you're gonna have Judi Dench play M, and not reference that whole transition between Brosnan and Craig, it's like they did it like a soft reboot, I guess you could say. They most of the time when they reboot films, they give you a full new cast, and then everybody kind of goes, "Oh, okay, I get it. This is Nolan's Batman is not related at all to the Tim Burton ones, or um, the new Spider-Man film isn't connected at all to Sam Raimi's piece of crap Spider-Man 3." This one, I don't know what they're going for. I think that they want like the best of both worlds. They want to ignore the stuff that they want to ignore, and at the same time, they want it to be that Bond went on all these other missions. So apparently, Bond went up in space, and
Well, isn't Daniel Craig younger than like say Roger Moore and stuff? Like
Roger Moore was fucking ancient when he did
yeah,
A View to a Kill. He
and
was like
they're given the
6 years.
whole like yeah you're an old man Bond, like they're doing that whole fucking thing in the in Skyfall. It's just really
Yeah,
confusing what they're doing.
I have no idea what their whole goal with the continuity is because
Yeah.
not only did Skyfall seem to go out of its way to destroy the James Bond as a code name for different agents fan theory,
Thank God.
but it's just I because that would have kind of made sense. But now with M constantly telling him about how old he is,
Yeah,
it's like
that bitch was fucking old.
I wish I looked half as good as Daniel Craig does at that age. But, that's I have no idea what they're going for, and I'm kind of optimistic about maybe having something more solid to go on as more movies are released because as we did see in the end credits, they are planning another film. But
Mhm.
I think I can only hope that they'll clue us in some more further down the line as to what the hell are they doing.
Right. Well, Tony, you did say though after the movie, you were like, it says James Bond will be back and whatnot, but you were like, what if this is the last one, and they're just gonna start from like this this movie will lead into like Doctor No or whatever. I forget how you worded it
Yeah,
exactly.
the way that I saw it was, spoiler alert, of course, if nobody knows, Eve, the character by Naomi Harris, Tia Dalma from Pirates of the Caribbean, she turns out to be Miss Moneypenny, and Gareth Mallory, the Ray Fiennes character, replaces M because M gets killed by the
Woo!
main villain Silva. Of all places, gets killed in this like monastery in the Bond. What would it what would he really be called? Like the estate, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Rich
It's like
bastard.
a little tiny chapel, I guess, that they had
Yeah.
next to a small cemetery, family cemetery.
So we went through two films where we had no Q, no Moneypenny, the female M, which that was established from the Brosnan series, so that wasn't too much different.
No gadgets really, except for that one. I think it was in Quantum of Solace when he had the tracking device implanted in his arm.
That was Casino Royale.
Oh, that was. Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
But
I don't remember shit from Quantum of Solace, to be honest.
But the at the end of this film, we have not only do we have Q, we have Moneypenny, a new M who, if anybody is going to seem more like the old Bernard Lee M, it's going to be the Ray Fiennes more so than the Judi Dench. We also still have Tanner, which I don't remember who he was played by in the Brosnan movies, but I always really liked that guy. There was always the Colin Salmon, who was Robinson, and then the other guy was Tanner, for those who don't know about that. But the film ends, and we have suddenly all of these characters are back, and Bond is. I mean, they even had Bond hang up his coat and everything like that, which Bond used to do. And he walks into an office that seems more like the old Connery films, and walks into M's office, which is more like the Connery films as opposed to the one that Judi Dench was in. I don't know if they purposely did the blowing up the MI6 headquarters as like a means to be like, well, then we renovated. But at the end of the film, I got this impression that that kind of led into the way that Dr. No starts off with, and From Russia with Love and everything, where there's a younger Q. He's not, of course, that young, but younger Q, male M, Moneypenny's there, Bond's there. Everybody's kind of back into that same place. And they referenced a lot of stuff in this film that really seemed to wrap a lot of stuff up. Like the subplot about Bond's parents, which they have only touched upon very, very minimally in the other films. Pretty much the only things that they mentioned in the first 20 Bond films about his past were when they would reference Tracy from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which happens in the films, so that's not too hard to go back to. And they would just kind of say, well, your parents died in a climbing accident. This one, they go so far as to go to the Skyfall Lodge. They show the literal gravestones of Andrew and Monique Bond, Delacroix Bond. And, there's a big fight in his house. His house blows up, his childhood house out of all things. So this had a lot of stuff that kind of called back to the 50-year anniversary. And when we were talking about the fact of Bond being thrown out there as too old, that was my only, not my only criticism of the film, but my only huge criticism of the film. I didn't see that as being purposeful at all. It really felt like, to me, the only purpose that they did that was to kind of justify to themselves and to the audience that, well, Bond's been out there for 50 years. Is it kind of an old, is it like an old entity in film? Like, do we need to change? And then that, by the end of the film, of course, Bond's back to normal, and it's kind of like, no, Bond's classic, and it'll always work out. It felt like that to me, at the very least. What do you guys think about that?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But that was my main criticism. I liked the plot of Silva being a former agent going after M, especially if he's going to go after her because she let him rot in like a POW camp. That's like a perfect reason to go after your former boss. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin used to go after Vince McMahon for no fucking reason. And I'm sure everybody out there has a boss that they have problems with, and they don't do anything half as much as that. But I liked that. I liked Silva a lot. I thought the women in the film all served their purpose and weren't, um, not to say beaten over the head with us, but they kind of do that. Do you guys agree with that? Like some films, they go like, "Here's the woman. She's gonna be fantastic." Like The World's Not Enough.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with a woman being one of the main characters or not. They should be. I mean, there should be at least two women in each Bond film. One needs to either turn or die or both, and the other one needs to be the one that he bangs in the end. But for this one, it was like all the characters really hit it off from what they were supposed to, I think. Except this whole thing with Bond being too old, because he's not.
Right. I mean, Daniel Craig isn't. How old is he actually?
I would have to guess maybe like 43 or something like that. Let me look it up real quick. Daniel Craig is 44. Damn.
Not far off. I mean,
That's creepy.
yeah. Do you have a shrine, Tony?
Not anymore.
Bullshit.
I converted back to my favorite Bond, Dalton.
Yeah. Yeah. Dalton was cool.
Dalton
Dude,
to me is the
riding a
perfect Bond.
violin case is amazing.
Just the cello.
George
Yeah,
Lazenby. Okay, I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Dude, he's the man. On
Here's,
Her Majesty's Secret Service was the best Bond movie ever, and everyone knows it.
here's
Yeah.
an impression of Lazenby as Bond. Hi, I'm Bond.
Yeah.
James Bond?
Who's my character again?
I'm smiling a lot in this movie. This didn't happen to the other fella. You know, Sean Connery.
That was great.
Fucking, I hated
Best line in a Bond movie ever.
Do you really think that OHMSS is the best?
I honestly do. And I
Oh.
honestly think that was one of the best lines ever. Not spoken by Q, it was the best line ever.
Oh my god.
Well, second maybe to Roger Moore saying, "Don't go in there without a mongoose."
Yes.
I don't know. I think I got you beat. A View to a Kill, Christopher Walken. I'm happiest in the saddle.
I'll give you that one. Whoa! Christopher Walken is always funny.
It's Mayday. God, Mayday. Jeez.
Gonna sink Silicon Valley.
You know what else, speaking of A View to a Kill, that I always thought was hilarious? The old man in the Zeppelin at the end of the film, after Max is about to fall from the Golden Gate Bridge, they did this zoom in on him, and he's like, Max! Max! It's the worst fucking scream in the world. Max! But no, I really lost my train of thought. Oh, one thing I want to talk about. I'm sure we're gonna backtrack and talk about a lot of that same stuff over and over and over again. But
All that bullshit.
one of the things I wanted to talk about that I didn't really like is every film tends to have the main villain and a henchman. And in this film, the main villain, Silva, aka whatever the hell they called him in the other part, and the main henchman out of this film is this
Tiago Rodriguez. Sorry to interrupt.
What was it?
Raul Silva's real name was Tiago Rodriguez.
Ah, they don't even
Yeah.
have
Name.
IMDb doesn't even have Raul in it. They just have Silva.
Yeah, that's Wikipedia to the rescue.
But the main henchman in this film, for the most part, is this man named Patrice, and that he gets killed like 50 minutes into the movie.
Something like that.
Who was
Felt like
Patrice?
forever, but in a good way.
Great scene though.
Yeah.
Very, very beautifully shot. It was a lot of the cinematography in the movie in general was really striking.
There's
Which,
there's a good talk that they might actually get nominated for best cinematography.
that would
It's
certainly
damn-
not surprise me. It's
Yeah,
so
it's
pretty.
damn fucking good.
Prettiest Bond film I've seen that I can recall.
I always wonder, how do you write something like that into the movie?
You're right. Like Bond is in a room with a lot of cool reflective glasses. It looks awesome, dude. I'm telling you.
It looks sweet.
So Bond's in this kick-ass room.
I think
You're gonna fucking love it.
Jellyfish everywhere, but wait, they're like virtual jellyfish.
I think that the one of the most striking shots in it was when he was on the boat going to the casino.
That part
Nobody
felt
arrives.
very classic Bond to me too.
Yes.
It was perfect.
The part going to the casino or going to Seoul?
Where they're in, I forget where, China, and like you see the
Oh.
whole city lit up.
Yeah,
And
I know what you're talking about. He goes underneath the little
it's on that little
the little
one-man
dome
gondola thing. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a whole lot. The only part as far as cinematography that I wasn't a huge fan of was actually for the most part, the beginning of the film was more of a letdown than anything else in the rest of the film to me. I think
I agree completely. The pacing was just it was interesting things were happening, but it was very slow to build momentum.
well, the whole chase scene with Patrice and Moneypenny and Bond, I thought right to myself, I'm like, oh my god, this is exactly the same as we've seen in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. It's just this very sepia-toned, gritty sand area, and people are running on rooftops and crap. Like, it's the same thing as it always is, and I'm just like, oh man, I hope that they don't just do the same stuff again. Lo and behold, the whole rest of the film's completely different, but
Yeah.
that was the only letdown for that. But yeah, a lot of the parts in this film really really nicely shot. It's always more obvious when you get a very artistic director who can kind of throw his spin on stuff, as opposed to somebody who's more so. I'm not going to bash the guy at all. I mean, two of my favorites are Casino Royale and GoldenEye, but Martin Campbell is a guy who is more, let me get all the bullet points and get it on the page and knock them out, unless it comes to Green Lantern. But that's not really his fault. That was the studio. But he's not very like artistic about it. Whereas Sam Mendes, he needed to throw that little spin on it, and that's why we could have a whole scene where Bond's doing nothing and there's no dialogue, and your suspense is building and building the entire time just from him walking through a bunch of glass plate windows.
That was suspense. I called it confusion.
Really?
Yeah, I couldn't tell what was the purpose of that. Who builds a building like that?
Yeah, I was really...
Chinese.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
true. That's very true.
It's that or the little sliding paper things.
Oh, that
Have
was
you
for Shank.
seen The Dark Knight? That building was entirely made of glass for no good reason.
I've not seen The Dark Knight because those new Batman movies are terrible.
Well, there's a scene where they're in China and that building is damn near made out of nothing but glass. So I guess
Well, I can understand. It makes sense. You get them loaded up on opium, you send them in there, they get so confused, and you steal all their money. It was Shanghai, right? That's what they do.
Say Shanghai you. I see what you did there.
The excuse me. The subplot about the what did he actually classify it as? Severine is a part of the Chinese sex trade. Was that? He threw a line out there, and it was one throwaway line that was supposed to fill in a lot of gaps.
Was that when he was all like, when he was analyzing her?
Yeah,
when he was like, "You're afraid. You're not running this."
Yeah, he said about the guards are controlling you and they're not protecting you, and so on and so forth. I really wish that they could have added another maybe 5 minutes to the Severine character, because I thought that she was actually pretty interesting.
She needed some more fleshing out.
Yeah, but I thought it was really cool that they didn't care enough. They just killed her right the hell off.
That was a good part though, because it was like
pretty badass.
Going into this film, I had heard rumors that Eve was going to be Moneypenny. And then I was sitting there going, well, they already made... now, let me throw this out there right now. I have absolutely no problem if you change characters and give them a different ethnicity if it kind of works. Like, I actually love Felix Leiter being black instead of white. I think it makes perfect sense. You need to add a little more ethnicity into some films, and I liked Judi Dench's M just because it gave like that opposition of, Bond treats these women kind of like disposable, like nothing really, and then there's M who's like this motherly role, and but I was like, well, they're not going to do it with Moneypenny too and make it like Moneypenny and Felix are both black now. Like, it would just seem a little weird. I'm not opposed to it. I actually think that she's going to be a really good Moneypenny. But I was looking at that, and then they kept saying, no, she's not Moneypenny. She's going to play a character named Eve. And I was like, all right, now it's sounding a little bit more so like it's obviously not going to be Moneypenny. Then I saw one picture of her carrying a gun. And I'm like, oh, well, then of course she's not Moneypenny. Moneypenny doesn't carry guns. So I went into this movie not knowing about the Judi Dench death or Moneypenny. Only knowing that Q was in it, which, I mean, you couldn't not tell that because they talked about it constantly. When they started introducing the Eve and Severine characters, I was like, oh, okay, Eve is the one agent who's going to get killed, because somebody's going to get killed. They'll kill her instead of killing M, and then they'll kind of like, maybe Malloy is going to be like the person that was helping Silva the whole time, and Severine will be the one that Bond is banging at the end of the movie and just kind of gives a wink to and tells her to go fuck off before the next film starts. So, not that long into the Severine character, I mean, her first main scene is like the one right before she dies. And I was just like, oh, holy shit, they killed her. Okay, I guess everybody's dying in this fucking movie.
Can I just ask a question? Like,
Oh.
why
Shoot.
why did M die from a butt wound?
I think it was supposed to be her hip, wasn't it? What?
I think it was her hip. But, like, I just see her, like, holding onto her ass, and I'm like, what? She's bleeding from the ass? And then she dies all of a sudden?
Well, not everything can be Forrest Gump.
She didn't even do all that much running.
Hey, she did run from a fireball, though.
She kind of walked.
Yeah, she kind of old lady walked real fast.
She
Old lady
moseyed.
power walk.
It was a mosey.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of the cinematography, you were a big fan of the the sequence with the fireball, right, Sean?
Oh, the whole part of the movie where they're running on the moors and the ancestral Bond family house was burning to the ground. It's so beautiful. Yeah, y'all loved it. More movies need to set things on fire at nighttime in Scotland.
I'm assuming that you disliked that, right, Degge?
Oh, absolutely. Thought it was terrible, but for the most part, I could blame that on the movie theater because it was kind of fuzzy. So maybe I wasn't getting the whole picture. I'll have to rewatch it when it comes out on DVD.
On DVD.
They just put up The Spy Who Loved Me. You were watching that the whole time. You're like, damn.
No, really, we didn't notice until the end of the movie when the credits were rolling. It was completely out of focus.
The Silva, when he takes out the teeth, he was actually taking out the teeth from Jaws.
I kind of had that thought for a second when, like, you see the remains of his meth mouth, and I'm like, oh, never mind.
What, that it was going to be a reference to Jaws?
I thought we were going to get something a little different, but it kind of still hints at Jaws. But I thought it was really interesting directions that they decided to go. I mean, I don't know enough about cyanide capsules to be able to say how accurate that would be, but I'm kind of upset that they didn't make more use of his grizzled, disgusting face and awesome power voice.
I really do think that was enough.
Yeah, it worked, and maybe if they used it more, it would have been easy to overplay. But I'm kind of surprised because I thought it could have added some dramatic effect later on or something. But
yeah, well, every Bond villain has that like one thing about them that's physical that like sets them apart from everybody else. And also another thing that was really neat about him was, unlike all the other Bond villains, he doesn't have some grand master plan to like take over the world or destroy the world or steal something or whatever.
No,
it's purely revenge driven.
Yeah, he was just like, bitch, gotta go.
Yeah. I thought that was really awesome.
Made him much more sympathetic as a villain, which in the end gives you a much better villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as when it comes to the face and the teeth thing, I thought that was going to come into play where, well, there was two scenes where I thought might happen. I was like, okay, well, first off, I'm going to jump ahead here and I'm going to think that he's going to like punch him in the face at some point or whatever, and for the rest of the film he's going to have that all messed up and he's just going to look, like that really sickening looking villain when he gets killed at the end. But then when they started doing this whole thing with the chase sequence and they were trying to find him on the surveillance footage and everything, that's when I thought maybe something's going to happen where like an agent punches him or something like that and they end up spotting him they look at a bunch of different people dressed up as a cop and they see that one of them's got like a sunken in face and that must be him. I thought that was going to come into play there. Neither of them happened. It was just kind of, hey, look at my fucked up face. All right, forget about it. But every Bond villain does have, for the most part, something about them that's weird. There's a couple that don't have any like quirks to them, like Jonathan Pryce in Tomorrow Never Dies. Elliot Carver doesn't have anything crazy with him, just a crazy plot. The Renard's got the bullet in his head. Dr. No is missing his hands because what was he missing the hands for? What did he like?
Radiation.
Cut a steak the wrong way or something.
Yeah.
Cat Blofeld's got the screwed up eye, and You Only Live Twice.
Odd Job had that huge dick.
That was one of the unlockable things in the GoldenEye game, right? It was.
I thought that scene was very disturbing.
It was DK mode and paintball mode, and Odd Job giant dick flopping mode. And since he's so short in the game, so low to the ground, it just drags.
You can always tell where the person playing that character is in that mode because you just follow the blood streak right to where he's hiding.
Yeah, they all have that little thing that's going for them, and
it's not little.
Even with like Lashif, they had the whole eye bleeding thing, which I thought was kind of cool. A little bit odd, but kind of cool. But
I did like that.
But with this, they had to give him that, and they actually gave him a legitimate reason behind it that had to do with the story instead of just this is what happened to me before the film started, and oh well, it played a good part into it as to why he would be so pissed off at him. But as far as it goes for Silva, I think that Silva actually is one of the better Bond villains out of the whole series.
Completely agreed. Completely. I mean, we knew we were going to get an awesome villain when it was revealed that the character was played by Javier Bardem, because he's just an amazing actor. And I haven't seen anything with him that I've hated, and it's awesome when they can write a villain, and they kind of, like you said, they left a lot of the more ridiculous plots behind, and it's just a man who was wronged and wanted revenge, and it's kind of it's simple and it works, and I'm kind of hoping that they go with that route for more of the villains in the upcoming films, because it'll add a whole new twist to the whole Bond film experience, and I think for the most part the franchise will only be for the better for it.
I'm a little disappointed though that, and this is not a disappointment like a criticism against the film, but just kind of in retrospect, I don't really know necessarily how to word it, but the plot that they had with taking the hacking into the system and exposing all of the different agents and everything like that, to me that could have been rounded out in an entire film just on its own. and it was kind of a subplot of his plan for this. They could have kind of, I guess, spread the wealth a little bit, is what I should say. They could have went with the M assassination idea, and then in another film did the whole thing with the agents. But it's not that it doesn't work in this one. I mean, if they can think of other stuff in the future, then by all means, keep it the way that it is here. But eventually, they're going to run out of plot ideas. I mean, how many times can you have somebody hijack a missile and plan to blow up London?
Right.
I'm assuming 15. Well, we knocked out kind of everything with Silva as far as I'm concerned. What does everybody think about Moneypenny?
I'd hit it.
Kind of upset she's not a redhead.
Actually, that is with the whole everybody. There actually are some people that are criticizing the fact that Moneypenny's black and that Felix is black, and to me, it's like,
No.
who cares? Like
No.
Heimdall in Thor is black. I don't care. He did the job well. Now,
Right.
I don't necessarily want to have a female James Bond, or I don't want to have Superman be played by an Asian person because that's not what the character is. But
Like somebody like Nick Fury, like Samuel
Oh, yeah.
Jackson makes fucking perfect sense.
I like
Perfect.
Sam Jackson's version of Nick Fury so much better than the white version of it.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not just because like they drew him as Samuel Jackson, like they modeled Nick Fury in the Ultimate Series after Sam Jackson, and it just so happens that he was like gung ho about being Nick Fury in the movies.
Mm.
So, I mean, these days I feel like racism is really fucking stupid, and people shouldn't be thinking about that when it comes to characters being changed in movies. Black people are allowed to act in movies now.
Right? Yeah.
Um,
It's not like they have to be in the corner of the room playing like the guy playing the piano or something like that. Like they can
Right.
be leading men and stuff. They can be the main character.
It doesn't need to be a white person with blackface.
Yeah. Oh my God. I can't believe they used to do that in movies. It's so
That's
terrible.
so awful. But I mean,
I think it's gonna make a comeback.
the reason why I liked her being black so much is because honestly I didn't see it coming. I didn't see her being Moneypenny.
Yeah.
And when it happened at the end, I was like, oh,
It
Like-
made perfect sense.
yeah. It totally took it threw me off guard, and I liked it. It was great.
Yeah. If
I liked it a lot too. It was interesting to see because like I can't tell if they did this intentionally, but the whole time like you're given so many clues to indicate it's the exact opposite of going to wind up being Moneypenny. Maybe they intentionally hired a black actress because it would be another thing to throw people off the trail, but the whole movie up until the end, you kind of see little bits of her personality, and it just makes perfect sense. Like you realize at the end when they reveal it that she's perfect for Moneypenny the whole time.
Yeah, and also it's like he didn't once make out with her. He didn't once
Yeah.
do her or anything, and he like flirted with her, and it was just like you look beautiful in that dress and whatnot, and they gave each other those eyes and everything. They had that chemistry, but
he starts
Nothing.
unzipping her or undoing her
Right.
shirt and all that, and I actually
Nothing-
thought about that too. I was like, why hasn't he banged her yet? Like, this is the scene where he bangs the girl, like, and he hasn't. Oh, this is kind of odd. And then it was like, oh, because it's Moneypenny. Like, Bond can't bang Moneypenny. Like, babe, what were you saying? I interrupted you, kind of. Nick?
what? Oh, I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
Cut this bit out.
I really, I gotta agree with that. Like, the whole film, I'm sitting there going, she's Eve. Like, no, that was just a bullshit report. The same thing that we always hear, where it's always like, every time somebody's gonna do a new Bond film, we hear like Angelina Jolie's gonna be the next Bond woman. Charlize Theron's gonna be the next Bond woman. There's gonna be a new villain, and it's gonna be Ray Fiennes, and we're like, oh, okay, well, Ray Fiennes is going to be, of course, the villain, because he's always the fucking villain. And then
Pretty good at it.
then there was the rumors that he was going to be Blofeld, And then, that came around the same time as the Moneypenny one. So when that got thrown out, and then they threw out the Moneypenny one, I was thinking it's the same as the Johnny Depp's going to play the Riddler, and everything that we always hear about these kind of movies ahead of time. So I didn't put any thought into it at all. And I'm watching the film, and I'm just like, wow, they're really giving this Eve character like some good time, and they're actually kind of building her up and everything like that. And then the same thing happened with me. Right until they said the Moneypenny thing, then I was just like, you fucking got me. Like the only time of the film beforehand that I thought that there was a possibility was when she said about getting a desk job. And I was just kind of like, oh, desk job. I wonder. Nah, that's got to be just a little throwaway line. Okay, all right. Fuck. Like, but I actually thought when it came to that when they were casting a black woman for Moneypenny instead, when you said about that she wasn't a redhead, that if I would have to complain about anything, it would be more so that it would be slightly better if she had like a reddish tint to her hair or something like that. But then again, I'm somebody who says Daniel Craig shouldn't be blonde.
And have blue eyes. I always thought that was like when he was casted for Casino Royale. I thought it was really strange. Like he's not this like dark haired like. I mean, he's sort of mysterious and dreamy and all, but.
Well, as horrible as it sounds for me to say, the very first thought that I had when they said Daniel Craig, I was like, who? And then I was like, oh fuck, the guy from Road to Perdition. Wait a minute, the ugly guy from Road to Perdition. And then I'm like, why am I classifying him as the ugly guy? What? It's Jude Law, the hot one. Like,
started to seriously question your sexuality for a second.
It's like, wait a minute, he's not handsome like Pierce Brosnan. Oh shit.
I don't know. I've never I was first introduced to Daniel Craig in a little movie called Layer Cake, which I had seen years before. Not years, because it's really not that long a time. But I had seen it. I had seen it way before he was announced to be James Bond. And if you haven't seen Layer Cake, it's a very good movie, and he's very good in it, very believable. And I was just blown away by this actor who I'd never heard of before in this awesome British kind of like gangster film. And because of that movie, when they finally did announce Daniel Craig would be the next James Bond, despite the fact that he's kind of not James Bond in the typical dark hair kind of in the looks department, I immediately had no doubts or worries whatsoever, because I knew he would be able to play the role very well. And in Casino Royale, he did just that. He knocked it out of the park. It wound up being one of my personal favorite Bond movies that has ever been made.
Yeah, I saw Layer Cake after his announcement. Actually, after Casino Royale, even. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, now I understand it. This was like the Bond audition. But what did you think about Moneypenny, Degge?
Well, I hated her just because Nick liked her. Actually, that was like the one thing I liked about the movie. Although I was pretty sure she was Moneypenny within almost minutes of the actual movie starting, but really? I also hadn't heard any of the stuff that was going on beforehand about, though, there's going to be Moneypenny or there's not going to be Moneypenny or any of that nonsense. So as soon as she mentioned the desk job, the way that they were bantering with each other, I was like, oh, she's going to be Moneypenny. And
I always thought that
wasn't
had
a huge
different
surprise.
First name.
I never knew Moneypenny's first name, but the way that they were interacting with each other was priceless.
Now, what do you think about having Moneypenny as like a field agent, though? I like that a lot. That would kind of explain how she's got a little bit of an edge to her, but clearly she's not anywhere near qualified.
Well, I thought that was pretty retarded, because if she wasn't qualified, she wouldn't have been out there in the first place.
Well, in comparison, I mean, we also have how many 00s have been killed in the series, and Bond's the only one that can accomplish anything other than 008.
True.
It's like 00, was 002 and 004 in The Living Daylights. They actually just like sit there and watch somebody cut the rope and then fall down a cliff. Yeah. Hey, don't do that, buddy. Hey, shit.
They're all kind of slightly incompetent if you really look at it, because in all the Bond films, he fucks up colossally before he winds up actually getting anything right.
Right. You were saying that the other night when we were hanging out.
I think it's so funny. He's the only guy that constantly gets his cover blown, gets tied up, gets shot at, and then it's like, oh, you did it. You're the best one we have. Fucking really? This is fucking like Navy SEALs or something. They'll get in without being seen, shoot everybody, and mission over.
It makes you question what 008 does. If 008's like the only other one who accomplishes anything and doesn't get killed, and he's still number 2 behind 007, then is 008 the guy who like he fucks up but just doesn't die? They're like, we still have 008.
He's probably the one like you don't see behind the scenes actually doing all the shit for James Bond. So
he's the guy that's in the trash can.
He's handing him the secret explosive mission statement and stuff.
He like tracks Bond around constantly with a sniper rifle, and every time that Bond's shooting at like 300 men, he just sits there picking them all off. Come on, James, Jesus Christ! Like, they need to throw him into one of the movies too. 008 needs to pop up. But we knocked out the Silva thing. We knocked out Moneypenny. We knocked out Q a little bit. Gareth Mallory. Everybody think that he's going to be a good M. I have Absolutely. A lot of good hope for Ray Fiennes for that. I think that he's actually going to knock it out of the park even more so.
I agree. He's obviously a very talented actor, and he seems like a very good fit for the role.
Any disagreements?
Nick's got to disagree because I like him.
Well then I think he stinks.
Let's cut his nose off.
I think he's terrible.
Yeah, I think that he's got a good chance at not putting his own spin on the character, because I don't think he's going to be any different from what we've seen other ones, but it'll be a good breather from having the Judi Dench M, which I liked her in that role. I thought that she was very, very good from every one of the films, but I think this is going to go back to the Robert Brown, Bernard Lee type of M.
I was really excited. As soon as Bond hung up his coat in the office and like Moneypenny's office, as soon as he walked through the door, I saw the coat rack. I just knew what was gonna happen, and he walks in and sees the new M with his little sling on. It was just really, for a Bond fan, it was just really made me giddy. I guess it made me feel the way girls feel when they go to see Twilight.
Sad that I know exactly what you're talking about, because I'm sitting there going, that kind of looks like the door. That looks like the old door. Like,
squee!
Like, all we need now is Desmond Llewellyn to pop up and say, I'll never joke about my work. And oh, you know what? I forgot to mention about that too. The Q thing. They didn't quite say it, but the whole try to bring this back in pristine order, that line. Mm-hmm. I forget how he words it in this film, but it's something like,
do try to bring it back in one piece.
Yeah, that's... Yeah, and I like that a lot. That was a nice little reference there.
It was a good touch.
Well, we're all in agreement about that. Kincaid. Apparently he was going to be, at least the idea was thrown around, that would be Sean Connery.
Oh, really?
Which would have been awesome.
He hasn't been in movies in like 20 years. Who thought he would do that?
I guess Barbara Broccoli and Wilson. I guess that they did. I don't know, but they apparently decided against it because they thought everybody would be too confused.
I'd much rather seen Roger Moore playing Silva.
That would have been interesting.
I wonder if he would have.
Which, if you've seen that boat trip movie, it'd work.
Oh, I wonder if he would have needed to have the prosthetic for the face.
No, you already had that going on.
Maybe we could have had Lazenby pop up in the middle of the movie and just be like, "Hey, look, it's the new James Bond." Like, but, I guess part of me would have absolutely loved it if it would have been Connery, and part of me would have been very angry.
Yeah, like too cheesy.
Yeah, it would have been like, what are they trying to say now that it is a different code name for each person? Or, but at the same time, it would have been like, I get it, because I like that kind of stuff in movies. I always like in the Hulk movies when they have, what's his
Lou
name?
Ferrigno.
Ferrigno, yeah, when they have him pop up as like a security guard, and I love the Stan Lee cameos in the Spider-Man films and everything.
So good.
So I would have actually liked it a lot, but at the same time, there would have been part of me that would have complained. So in the end, I think the smarter move is to not have Connery. But hell, you never know. He
People
might
like
not have
you
wanted to do it
ruin
in the
it.
first place.
The last movie I think he was in was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which was how long ago?
Maybe that's
But,
why he's not in other movies.
Yeah, I
He's
think
just like, oh,
it's
this
safe to
is
say
fucking it.
he's hung it up. I think.
I think maybe it was Finding Forrester actually.
No, it was League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
It
And then
was?
he did one voice acting role after that. He played James Bond in the video game.
Really?
Yeah, From Russia with Love, they made like 2 or 3 years ago. Nobody
Uh,
bought it.
I never played that game. Hey, at least he did the voice for it instead of having some other guy come out there and try to do a Connery voice. Like, I can't do a fucking impression of it to save my life. But when everybody has like that grovelly,
Yeah.
or sure, like kind of shit, like, to Kincaid, all that kind of stuff. The Skyfall stuff, I really liked. The theme song, of course, fucking amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Wait, the Adele thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I loved
That
it.
was terrible.
No, it was. I thought it. I didn't listen to the song beforehand, but so in the movie was the first time I had heard the track, and between the song and all that crazy, trippy background bullshit that's so typical of a Bond film, it felt like classic Bond film to me, and I love that.
My criticism about the title sequence, though, is it's kind of repetitive.
It did repeat itself a little more than it needed to, but for the
And
most part, I think it was spot on.
like, I loved the thing that kind of looked like a Rorschach painting. About maybe like midway through it or something like that, there's just the screen goes white and it's all the women on the screen and all that kind of stuff, and it looks a little bit like a Rorschach, but you don't.
It probably was supposed to be because I mean he does kind of sit down with a shrink
Yeah,
and they try to
Yeah.
analyze him and see if
Psychiatric
he's
evaluation.
Yeah.
and the the deer or the antelope or whatever they are, like they didn't establish at all what that was at that point.
No,
So
I was so confused.
I'm watching the title sequence and I'm like, okay, we have like fire and bullets and
Knives
kind of,
falling from the sky and becoming headstones.
yeah, like we have typical Bond stuff, but why are there fucking deer all over the place? Like, is there gonna be a scene in the movie where we cut back and this time period that he's been off, he's just like going hunting and eating deer? But they kept going back to the deer and all that. It turns out it was the Skyfall Lodge and everything like that, where one deer is out there, not another one.
Yeah, and I mean, most Bond films are like the titles they have to do with like the plot of the villain trying to like how GoldenEye was like the name of the satellite and crap like that. But yeah, I was really confused. I thought Skyfall was going to be like the name of an operation or something, and
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Thunderball.
then when they show the lodge, I was just like, oh, like I get it. And then all the deer, like you see the deer as soon as you see Skyfall, and I'm like, it all fucking makes sense now.
I think the cleverest use of the whole Skyfall thing, when he was due for that psychiatric evaluation, and they're doing the word associations, and the doctor throws out Skyfall, and James Bond gets noticeably aggravated, like immediately. So my mind starts like kicking off with all these crazy ideas. Is this like a mission that he failed in the past? What's happening? Is this something that only like an in thing with the secret agents, or and it worked so perfectly.
I had the first time I heard the name Skyfall, I was like, oh, thank God they didn't go with something like I don't know, the Hildebrand Rarity, which they haven't used yet, and I think would be a terrible Bond film title. But
Yeah. I don't think
I'll
anyone would
reference
see
Quantum
that.
of Solace in a minute though. But when I heard Skyfall, the first thing I thought of was the climbing accident. And I'm like, that they're not going to reference that. That can't be it. That's got to just be a coincidence. It's got to be something like an operation or something like that you were saying. And when they start talking about Skyfall, and he says done and moves on, I was like, okay, either this is either Skyfall was the operation that they failed, and he fell from the train and got shot, and he's just pissed about that, or Skyfall is like a code word for when agents are down. Like Skyfall is like if the list gets lost, and he was just pissed off about that. Or Skyfall might have been the operation that Silva was on, and that was like we're referencing the operation that went wrong with Silva. But then when they actually did start talking about the parents and all that, then it was just like, oh my god, they're finally doing the parent thing. Like it took them 23 Bond films, but they're finally talking about it and doing it in a way that isn't shoehorned in there, which I personally loved a lot. My main problem with a lot of the Bond titles, some of them are incredibly awesome, and some of them are very stupid. And one of my favorites out of all of them is You Only Live Twice. And I love when they do the little references like Die Another Day and The World Is Not Enough. I loved that because I was referencing On Her Majesty's Secret Service and all that. But I hate Octopussy.
Oh my god.
That is absolutely the worst out of all of them. And I like when they do like the single titles like GoldenEye and Thunderball and Goldfinger and all that, but at the same time I kind of like it more when they're a little bit fancier. So when Casino Royale comes out, I'm like, all right, well the book's Casino Royale, they got to call it that. Quantum of Solace they announce, and I'm like, oh my god, they're finally doing Quantum of Solace. I loved that title. There's going to be a scene in this movie where they talk about Vesper and they say, Quantum of Solace is this and that, and the modicum amount of happiness that you still have left in a relationship and all. And I'm like, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. Oh, wait, the film is fucking terrible. And they missed that beat in a scene that could have done it, the scene with Mathis and everything. So I was so pissed off at them for that. And then when they did the Skyfall thing, and I'm like, that could be Bond's parents. No, they're going to fucking miss that one, too. They're going to suck ass again.
Can I tell you something, though? I haven't seen Quantum of Solace since we saw it in theaters opening night.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucked so much dick that I don't remember a single thing about it.
That's actually a good thing.
I really don't remember anything. I don't remember the villain. I don't remember.
They're all forgettable. That's the thing.
Song. And you know what? I think it's because I was drunk. No, I wasn't drunk. But yeah, I don't remember a damn thing. And I mean, I know it's a good thing because if it was a good movie, if it didn't suck ass, I would remember it.
Yeah, Quantum of Solace is definitely one of my least favorite. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is probably my least, though. Sorry, Degge.
Wow. Die Another Day is definitely the worst.
That one's... You know what? Die Another Day, though, that one's got, like... Maybe, like, a fifth of it is amazing, and the rest of it's crap. Like, I loved the idea of the hovercraft thing over the mines. I loved... even the idea that like the North Koreans were the villains this time instead of just going straight to like Afghanistan or I liked how they referenced some other Bond films. They did it very hokey in some of them. Like they really didn't need to have the jetpack fly off and all that, but and why would Bond keep the Rosa Klebs shoe? Like, I can get that you kept the fucking little airplane and that kind of stuff, but why would you be like, I need that shoe with a spike in it? We can't replicate that at Q Branch. But no, like the rebreather, they used that. They reused the watch laser, and I thought that was kind of cool and all that. But too much stuff in that movie is just too cheesy.
Hey, what was the movie where he had the grapple hook fucking belt?
Grapple hook belt?
Yeah,
I think it was in GoldenEye when he saves Natalia from that place.
It was.
Oh.
It was.
Yeah. The the belt that's supposed to hold up a certain amount of weight. And
yeah.
Great scene, by the way, with the sandwich.
Oh, it
Touch that. It's my lunch.
That's my lunch. But
I forgot
like,
about that.
why would like the tech branch of the Secret Service make all these ridiculous gadgets? Like, when will you ever need a grapple hook belt? You know, like.
I personally like when they do like what we were saying earlier about like the exploding pen. I can get that. The grapple hook belt's pretty stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, when are you ever going to be in a situation where you'll need that? And it always happens when he'll actually need that one day. Like,
The only thing that they didn't though, and I'll give them credit for this, was in GoldenEye, the remote mine.
yeah.
He puts the remote mine out. He's got the detonator on his watch, and then 006 is just like, nah, fuck that. And just gets rid of it. Doesn't play to a factor at all. But yeah, I liked the references in this film to the other Bond films, and I really felt like they kind of enclosed this to where if this was, I mean, it's not going to be, but if this was the last Bond film, it would have made sense. And they already said James Bond will return, and Craig himself has actually signed on for 2 other films. So I'm sure that they're going to do at least one more with him, unless they run into some kind of a legal problem like they did with License to Kill. But I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully they keep this going with the quality of this and Casino Royale instead of Quantum of Solace. But then again, that was the writer's strike too. Supposedly Christopher Nolan might be one of the next people to do a Bond film.
What?
Yeah.
Cool.
Degge would hate it.
Yeah.
Is that the idiot that did the new Batman movies?
Okay, that idiot directs some of the greatest pictures, even if you ignore the Batman movies. Have you ever
His
seen...
other stuff is actually good, but the Batman movies I'm just not on at all.
Okay, well, you can hate things because they're popular all you want, but that doesn't take away the fact that he is one of the greatest directors of the modern era.
Well, there will be a scene in the film where Bond is floating in a hallway, and it all turns out to be a dream.
Or he just can't fall asleep and doesn't really know who killed who anymore by the end of the movie.
And he's played by Christian Bale. He goes from Bateman to Batman to Bond.
That would be terrible. I'm sorry.
He actually was somebody who was rumored for the part originally.
I think the fact that he has played Batman would just completely ruin him as James Bond.
Well, that actually brings up a good point. They, in the past, when it comes to Bond films and casting James Bond, they have kind of a tendency of casting somebody, or well, I should say almost casting somebody who they later on cast as the next Bond. Apparently, Roger Moore was somebody that was, I don't know, necessarily in their mind when it came to replacing Sean Connery with George Lazenby. So they go with George Lazenby instead because Roger Moore at the time had the TV show The Saint, and he couldn't commit to it. They go with Lazenby. They decide not to continue it anymore, and they just bring Sean Connery back for one more try. And then they go with Roger Moore. And now, when they were going and looking at Roger Moore, apparently for Live and Let Die, one of the other people they were looking at was Timothy Dalton, and they said that he was just too young. And then, of course, the next Bond is Timothy Dalton. And when they were looking at finally getting Timothy Dalton for The Living Daylights, one of the people they were looking at was Pierce Brosnan, who they thought was too young. And then, lo and behold, Pierce Brosnan becomes Bond at GoldenEye. So, right when they were announcing Daniel Craig as the new Bond, I was paying a lot of attention to who other people were that they actually said they legitimately screen tested. One of the names was, and I always get his name wrong, I don't remember if it's Henry Cavill or Cavill.
I always say Cable or Cavill.
Whatever it is, the guy who's going to play Superman now, which he had a very terrible string of luck when it came to these movies. He was going to play Superman in the one that Brandon Routh was.
He was going to play Batman. Too.
Yeah, he was going to play Batman, and then he got passed over. He was actually going to play Bond in Casino Royale, and they thought that he was too young. So it was three in a row, and then he finally gets Superman. So.
And all he wants is to be in one of these movies, dude. He's really into it, and he got shot down, and they casted fucking. What the hell is this goddamn name? Why am I drawing a blank right now?
You talking about Ralph?
I'm sorry?
Brandon Routh?
No, well, that too. Like
Ralph, Christian Bale, and Daniel Craig.
Bale, right? Why would they like Christian Bale is like not Bruce Wayne. That's the thing. Like, not at all. I mean, he's tall, huge, and fucking dark hair. You know what I mean? I mean, the blue eyes. Does Christian Bale have blue eyes?
I don't know.
Whatever.
I've never gazed into them long enough to find out.
Me either.
All I know is that he's got black, a whole bunch of black around it.
Where are the other dogs going?
Yeah, the name's Bond. James Bond.
Greatest detective ever. All his detective work.
Punch.
But
I'll get to the bottom of this. Torture.
But before he was cast as Superman in the new Man of Steel film, I was thinking that Henry was going to be the new Bond after Daniel Craig. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. He might be too big of a star after Superman for them to want him to be Bond. But then again, at the same time, Daniel Craig has moved on to other films while being Bond, and he's kind of stepped away from that a little bit.
Well,
So
he kind of also had to, because there was that huge bit where they just had all those production troubles and stuff. What is he going to do? Not play in movies and put food on his table?
Right. Cowboys and Aliens wasn't a great movie, but he was awesome in that movie. Daniel Craig's just an all-around great actor, and I didn't think he could pull off like an American accent the way he did.
It's always surprising to see very British people pulling off really convincing American accents.
What's really hilarious is when British actors, like when people don't know they're British, and then they see them in interviews and stuff, they're like, oh my god, Rick from The Walking Dead is British?
Oh my god, I didn't know House was British.
Andrew Garfield, the new Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, he's a good one too.
He did the whole New York accent really well, I'm not going to lie.
Did.
The whole yeah thing, like the little mannerisms that he did and everything, like is good.
So when it all boils down to Skyfall, I guess if you had to give it like a 1 to 10 rating, what would everybody give it? Start with you, Nick. 10 being the best.
Really?
Yeah, you know, some people act stupid and they say 1 is the best.
It sucked. I'm giving it a 10.
There are people out there that do that, sadly enough.
Well, I don't know. Degge's gonna hate me for this, but I mean, I'm a huge fanboy when it comes to Bond, and I think this had like. Casino Royale was awesome. It was a really freaking great movie, but it didn't have the Bond feel to it. And I feel like this wasn't as action packed as Casino Royale, and it didn't. It had that feel like from Casino Royale, but it had a much more classic Bond feel, and there were a lot of like nudges and hints at old classic Bond. So that really made me wet in the panties. I'm gonna give this movie a 9.7. I loved it.
Sean?
I hate to split hairs, but I mean, I love Skyfall. As a Bond movie, I have no problem saying 9, because it's really engaging, and it's got awesome action sequences, and it's got one of my personal favorite Bond villains to ever grace the screen. So as a Bond movie, it's definitely a 9. And I have to say, as a movie, not quite so high. I'd give it like a 7 or a 7.5, because while it is a good movie, I think unless you're really into James Bond, you're not going to love it as much.
Degge?
Honestly, it pissed me off with a lot of things it did, but not enough to make me hate it. It's like a solid 7. In terms of other Bond movies, I don't like it as much. I think it's pretty close to the bottom of my list, not as far as Die Another Day, but pretty far down there. But it did a lot of the other things that were good. You know, I've hated M since it's been played by Judi Dench, just because I hate Judi Dench. So the fact that they killed her, I was like, oh yes, this is amazing. So that made up for a lot of the other stupid stuff in it. Then the last the 15 minutes or so of the movie was amazing. From the minute they introduced the DB5 on, there wasn't a thing wrong with the movie. And that last 2 minutes was amazing.
You loved the Home Alone James Bond sequence more than the whole previous part of the movie?
Yes, it was amazing. I loved I don't know. It was something I never saw before from a Bond movie, so maybe that's why I liked it.
It was really unconventional.
Right, and they were really defenseless, and it was like it brought a real sense of danger to everything. Like, who thought that M's freaking exploding light bulbs would work, you know? And it was awesome when it did. The shrapnel or nails or whatever she put in it, freaking awesome, brilliant. And the shotgun shells under the board, that was brilliant too.
And the paint can.
Oh yeah.
The micro machines all over the entranceway.
Yeah. The videotape of the old movie. The old Bond film.
Pretty sure they tar and feathered that one guy.
See, I would have to kind of be in the middle ground of everybody's opinions here. I actually think that Casino Royale felt more like a Bond film than this did. Because to me, the way that I judge the Bond films is through my experience of the first 20 ones, where it's you got to have, you know, you got to have the scene with the casino scene, I guess you could say, which they did have that in this one, but like you need to have the henchmen, you need to have the one woman get killed, like Solange in Casino Royale. You need to have I still really hate that they don't have that gun barrel at the beginning of the films. That pisses me off more than anything in the world. Like you miss the gun barrel. I miss the shaken not stirred out of these movies, and I miss the Bond theme. I think actually one of the biggest criticisms I have of the whole film is I think that the music wasn't nearly as good as when David Arnold does them.
I thought the music was amazing aside from Adele.
That was the only part of the music that I liked. But I felt like the first half of the movie, I was like, oh man, there's just not enough Bond stuff in here. Like I really want to. It felt more like a Mission Impossible movie, and I got to agree with Degge on the fart. I'm saying fart again. The part where I'm mixing my fact and my part up. On the part where the DB5 comes in. From that onward, I really felt like it was more of a Bond film. And of course, the last 2 minutes of it, it's just solid Sean Connery Bond film. But the stuff ahead of time, too, there were elements of that I really, really enjoyed. I really liked like the cinematography we were talking about. I loved the fight sequence with all the blue light. I thought that Severine was a great character. I liked the idea that they were doing the shootout thing instead of just, you know, she ends up getting killed off screen or something. I loved Silva as a villain. I loved the hacking. I loved the introduction of all the new characters and everything like that. It was just that first half of the film where they're dealing with Bond being too old, and then the fact that it wasn't enough Bond stuff, in my mind, was really throwing me off. It made up for it in the end. So when it comes to a Bond film, I would probably have to give it a little bit less of a score because of the fact that the beginning of them is like, that bothers me. I'd probably have to give it a 7 on that. And then when it comes to a film itself, I actually think that this was one of the better Bond movies if you don't think of it as a Bond film. If you skip all the Bond stuff and you just look at it as, you replace the character of James Bond with, I don't know, Deacon Frost or something like that, something completely different, then I think it actually would be a better film than some of the Bond films have turned out to be. It wouldn't be as ludicrous as Moonraker was, or as, I guess, depressingly annoying as Die Another Day, and as hopeless as On Her Majesty's Secret Service. Yeah, I'm going to say that. But I'd probably have to give that like a 7 for that too. Just not purposely to do that 007 7 thing there. I just realized that. But because it's not going to be a movie that some people actually are saying that they think that it could be nominated for Best Picture. It's not going to happen.
No.
I mean, they have 10 that they can fit, but it's not going to happen. This is going to be like the Cloud Atlas and the Lincoln and so on and so forth. This might get Best Cinematography, and if it does get anything else, I think it's got a very good chance at winning the Best Original Song for Adele and the Best, I guess you could say, Best Supporting Actor for Silva, Javier Bardem. I could see that happening. I don't think it's really necessarily going to get anything other than maybe Adele winning, maybe cinematography, but I'm leaning more towards Cloud Atlas winning that, and I haven't seen that film yet, though. I'd have to give it an overall 7. I did really enjoy it. I actually have been enjoying it more and more as time's gone on, instead of directly after the film, because my first reaction was, there's the fucking gun barrel. But nonetheless, that should sum up everything that we could talk about for Skyfall. If anybody else has anything else to say, you want to throw it out there?
I like bacon.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
that much as a no, other than some plugs. So
Well, I mean, I'll say something. Just like literally 2 seconds ago, since this podcast has gone on for so long and I've been drinking beer the entire time, I really had to pee. So I pulled a Dumb and Dumber and filled 2 whole beer bottles full of pee pee.
You get any dribble on the floor?
No, not even a drip, and I'm really impressed. I'm like, I blew myself away with that one. Thank you.
we officially have now crossed the barrier into winning our own awards.
Okay, so yeah, as far as plugs go, I can't really plug Fanboys Anonymous on a Fanboys Anonymous podcast.
Yeah.
So I'm not really doing much of anything else. Music's done. I mean, I can't find an artist to help me on my comic books, so...
If you're an artist out there, let Nick know.
Yeah, please. I'm trying to do this. It's funny. It's a comedy and / action, real life superhero action.
Apparently, I'm a character.
Yes, you are. You're our oracle, and
Yeah.
Sean is my not really sidekick.
You're Lucius.
My partner.
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
We can go places to get married for that now.
We would be butt buddies.
Do you have any articles coming up for Fanboys Anonymous that you kind of want to throw out there?
Yeah, I'm actually going to play Black Ops 2 tonight.
I'm sorry.
I know. It has to be done though. I'm doing what has to be done. I actually didn't buy it. I didn't actually buy it for myself. I bought it for my dad. He plays all the campaigns and stuff. He likes war games. So I told him, when you're done playing the campaign, I'm taking it and playing zombies. I sure as hell wasn't paying out full price for zombies, and $10 for each map pack, which is just ridiculous. I would have ended up paying like $120 on Call of Duty. Like, I'm not doing that. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing that soon. That's going to be probably tomorrow after work. I'll write a review on it.
All right, Sean, anything coming up?
Well, as some of you hopefully may recognize, Nick and I do a more game-oriented podcast called I Got Gameplay. We are currently 5 episodes deep, I think.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
We record usually once a week, and still kind of working the flaws out and making it a nice, smooth, pleasurable experience for everybody, but check that out.
Anything, any projects you're working on or anything you want to throw out there, Degge?
No, I'll write a review saying why Nick's wrong about Black Ops, but that's about it.
Just wait until he says anything about Black Ops and then just copy and paste the article but say not in front of a bunch of stuff.
Exactly. No, I actually did buy Black Ops. I'm a bit of a mark for Call of Duty games, even though
That explains a lot.
Price, so I can I can legitimately, go to bat against him on that one. But then again, I also got it on the PC, and as you guys may have heard on PC, Disc 2 is actually Mass Effect 2. So I'll probably be playing that instead, because it's a much better game.
It is a very much better game.
Dig, we'll talk about that later on, because usually when it comes to Call of Duty, I am all about it. But lately, it's just, same game, man. Same game every year. I know they changed the weapons and the story and everything, but in terms of multiplayer, it's just the same goddamn game.
Yep, I paid $60 for a map pack and some skins for my guns.
Yeah.
You gotta find out what they renamed the P90 to now.
Oh, right. Right.
As far as I go, for anybody who doesn't know, I am the owner and operator and one of the contributors and everything, and the executive editor of fanboysanonymous.com. It's one of the many websites that I work on and own and operate and everything that I just said. Some of the other ones are outonlimbs.com, a play on the phrase out on a limb. And that one is about social commentary, me basically complaining about the world and giving my opinion about how dumb everybody is.
Yeah.
You can read such gems as, why should I fucking respect your opinion? And, me complaining about how nobody can sing the national anthem properly anymore, so on and so forth. Everything down to criticism of Amish people and stupid baby names. I also do a wrestling-oriented website called Smark Out Moment and a conjoined YouTube channel, Smark Out Moment at YouTube, and that's called Smack Talk, where we talk about everything in WWE and TNA. So if you're a fan of that, you can check out that website and that YouTube channel, as well as I'm on Bleacher Report, where I write every once in a while. I've got 4 articles up right now about Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series. I write for comicbookmovie.com, where I will actually be posting very soon a fan cast for the article that I wrote for Fanboys Anonymous about what I would do for Ghostbusters 3, where you're going to see the characters that I made up as what I would think that the movie should go as, who would I cast in that kind of role. I'll give you a little spoiler. Dev Patel is one of them. I will... the guy from Slumdog Millionaire. I will be writing more for Fanboys Anonymous once I get some time to actually write them down. One of the things I have planned coming up real soon is I want to write out what I consider to be the most influential and best films as far as 2012 goes. That should be just about it then. You can always follow all my stuff and all the other A Mango Tree related things on Twitter and Facebook. There's 1,000 links all over the place. If you can't find me, you're not looking hard enough. So that should be it for this first edition of Fanboys Anonymous. As I said before, we don't know when we're going to do another one of these, but if you guys like it and you want us to jump on it and do another one as soon as possible, let us know in the comments and subscribe, everything along those lines. We will see you next time, everybody. Thank you for listening.